So when I found out Winnebago was making this floor plan, I had a couple ideas for them to do it just a little bit different, and they actually listened. Welcome everybody, Josh RV Nerd of Bish's RV, checking out the newest member of the Thrive family down here, the 22 MLS. Not an original floor plan, not an original model number, but a slightly original take on it. And I gotta say, I stand by this. I think Thrive is one of the best offerings Winnebago has offered in their towable family for a number of years. This is a strong contender. We're about 6,000 pounds dry, 26 foot 11 tip to tail. For the most part, that's going to qualify as, I think, half-ton towable. If, you live in the Rocky Mountains or the Appalachians or something like that, that might change a little bit. But for the most part, I think half-tons are going to move this one around just fine. They've got a little bit taller ceiling, which is a taller goofball I like, which also means taller shower. They also are rocking a rack and pinion slide on this instead of some kind of over-the-floor slide like a Slim Rack or a Schwinn-Tech or something like that. And that allows them more sofa options and a deeper slide with more kitchen storage than most people are going to provide. I have a theory that's going to pinch off the road mode a little bit. I think we're still going to be okay. The underbelly's enclosed. It is heated. You've got your Asdel walls still going on here. Heavy use, obviously, of aluminum framework and lamination on this. The bed is also something I really like. It's a 66 by 80 Olympic queen, which means it's still a normal 80 inches long, obviously, like a residential queen, but it's a little bit wider. So if you need a little more space between you, or if you got a little four-legged furry friend that likes to crowd the bed, you've got a little more room. And even their side stands and overbed storage are great. One of the cool things they did here, though, is they stuck with their big XL mega dinette, which originally they weren't going to do. And I'm like, guys, I think that's one of the coolest things to do because they have a nearly 7 foot wide dinette. It's like the size of a U dinette, but they didn't try to make it a U dinette. So 4 adults with long legs like mine can actually sit on this thing. It's like the difference between sitting in first class or sitting in coach on a commercial air flight, And little tweaks like that made me really pay attention to this one. Now, we are in a live dealer display today, so it's very possible we might hear the door open and close. We might see some guests. I don't tell everybody get the heck out just because I'm in here. That seems like a jerk thing to do. My experience, though, is once people see me in here talking to myself, they're like, oh, God, there's a crazy person in here. And they tend to vacate the premises very quickly. Either that or they don't want their face being reported to the FBI on camera. I don't know which. Now, I'm not going to harp a lot on the general nature of this floor plan because, again, this layout originally pioneered by the Grand Design 22 MLE. If we're being fair and giving credit where it's due, what's funny is this floor plan really, if you look at it, it's a classic mini home, a small motor home where the overhead cab bed above the driving cockpit area is the primary sleeper. That's actually what this floor plan is. It was just adopted into the towable RV industry brilliantly, I think. I think that was a really smart decision, mind you. But everybody and their brother has some version of this. So I want to focus on what Winnebago's doing that I think are some good call-out points. First of all, you might notice where they're putting their heat vents. They're very good about not putting them in the floor. They're kind of in the sides of little areas, but also it's very low impact. It doesn't, like they still have the opportunity for the handy little clutter cutter shoe garage next to my garbage bag full of stuff that I'm walking around with today. We're going to come back and talk about that dinette when I can give you a better shot at it. One of the other things I really wanted to hit on here is the fact that they went with a floor flush rack and pinion slide. They're not the first ones to do it with this floor plan, but most builders do not, because this is a hard floor plan to build with a rack and pinion due to the location of the tires versus the slide. There's just a funny overlay and interaction there. We are also 6'8" tall. This is 2 inches taller than the industry. Standard. I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, some technical difficulties there. All right, I'm going to park myself over here at the theater seat. One of the suggestions I had is most builders of this layout over on the right side of the screen, they would have some kind of pantry. But Winnebago has this really cool 42 by 82 inch mega dinette. And notice how it is an awesome no knee knocker. It's the size of a true true U dinette, but they didn't make it a U dinette, which weirdly actually is more useful for sitting bigger adults around. People think U-dinettes provide more seating. They actually do not, because your legs fight with each other and overlap. So I told them, hey, move that pantry. And they're like, what do you mean move the pantry? And what they did is they said, well, how far forward can we extend the slide while still allowing it to close without connecting with the bed? And they, oops, sorry about that. I bumped the stop recording button accidentally. But yeah, how far forward can they extend the slide without interfering with the bed? And they didn't want to give up their Thrive signature bed, the 66 by 80 Olympic Queen, which I'm very happy to see. This is my kind of personal north-south travel trailer nerd preferred bed situation right here. And what they found is they had just enough room to move that pantry over here into the slide out. So you still maintain that storage. Frankly, you're actually getting more because that's taller than what most of them would be. And you still get the bigger dinette and you still get the bigger bed. I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but note the location of the privacy curtain. It ties back over by the entry door, and that right there means that it won't get bound up in the slide. I see some manufacturers tie it up over here, and sometimes the curtain material hanging down can get caught in the slide out. And that could be a real problem, ladies and gentlemen. That is not something that you want to have to deal with. Something else I like, look at the window treatments. They're just simple, clean. There's just a little metallic cover over the roller blind right there. It's just very clean looking to me. I like what they did there. I like it a lot. I also really like all the window coverage on this model as a more open concept design with that giant, like some people like front windshields, some people don't. When a front window is open into the living cavity like this, I really like it because I like the extra windows and sense of space. They're not for everybody though. I get that. That's, you know, I've yet to see the one solution that works for every potential person. And they've done some really good storage in here. They're actually doing something, a personal nerdy rule of thumb that I like to follow. Like if I was going to design RVs, my mindset is if the storage is at my waist level or below, I want drawers to open it up to make for easier access. But I don't want drawers that make it difficult to reach over and grab stuff in the upper area. And that's exactly what they did here. They also made this a removable, adjustable shelf. If you're really familiar with like Rockwood and Flagstaff RV, these pantry closet or closets, as I call them, in a slide box like this, they do those all the time. So I think Winnebago just took a note from them, adapted it into a Winnebago format, and I think that was a really good decision. That's not a critique. By the way, handy little pro tip, when you have curtains that pull back like this, that's a perfect place to kind of store and hide a broom real quick. You can kind of wrap it inside that curtain so people don't look at a broom all day, and that tie back will hold it in place. You just got to make sure you lean it against the wall when you're sleeping and close the curtain. If you even close the curtain, a lot of people don't care, but some people like the extra sense of privacy that you get here. Pretty traditional foot locker storage here, but their dinette's so big, it actually requires an additional little conversion cushion to fold down into a sleeper. But Winnebago's aware of that. They didn't ship these RVs lacking that feature, which is an annoyingly common thing within this industry. But now looking around here, notice how you have a little side dresser drawer, but in the middle of those hanging towers, you also have these little side headboard power pockets with, you've got household and USB outlets tucked in there. Let me get you up close. Real quick though, your overhead cabinet storage, I think they executed this very, very nicely. All the doors hold themselves, and you don't have any like flat dead panel pockets. What some manufacturers will do is they'll just put like a big flat dead board right here to save the cost of like one set of cabinet hardware. But then as a result, there's a huge chunk of your overhead storage that's kind of hard to get to, and Winnebago didn't force you into that. By the way, the front window does have a blackout roller privacy shade, but look how they even trimmed out these little side cutouts right here, just so that it doesn't turn into an organic splinter factory on you. A few other kind of cool features here. Your cabinet doors, they're all soft close. And your drawers, well, they are as well. And that's not just in the bedroom. All the cabinetry has the exact same treatment all the way through. Now, in case you're curious, If you look up here, you see a couple things kind of tucked away in their little shipping packaging. These are some little swivel side stands that install in the armrests of this theater seat below us. The feedback on this was overwhelming. In my first couple Winnebago Thrive videos, I said, what do you think about this sofa? Because personally, I would like it if the center console, if that center armrest was removed, like if it was foldable, if it could fold out of the way. The feedback was overwhelmingly in agreement, but I see that Winnebago hasn't adopted that yet. Something people don't realize is that Winnebago basically owns their own furniture company. It actually comes out of Tennessee. This is not your industry standard furniture. This is definitely a higher grade of stuff. But here's my thought. My guess is they probably had already put in and built a massive order of these, and they had to stick with this sofa for a while until they burned through the stock. That's a guess that I have. But circling back to, remember this is a rack and pinion floor flush slide? That means you don't have to go with just theater seat. If you prefer more of a sleeper sofa, that is available on this. So keep that little detail in mind right there. Now, the storage around the TV is not much to write home about, and that is a smart TV, by the way. Under the dinette, though, that's where you have things, a lot of systems type stuff. You have your furnace, which is kind of what's tucked back in that rear corner, and then your converter, your power control center are located right over here. So there's not a lot of storage under that dinette, but they do have the shoe garage by the door. So I think they're actually doing the thing that matters most where it matters most. Now, pardon my neon green bottle of nerd fuel this morning, because I'm basically running on caffeine right now. To you, this is just one video. To me, this is like video number 37, and I'm only halfway through the week. This is a big week of recording for me, so I need all the help I can get. Notice, this is a one-piece seamless countertop and sink application. Winnebago owns their own fiberglass molds. They can create individually sized countertops on a per floor plan basis, which is something almost no other manufacturer can do. And because they're seamless like that, it means that they have eliminated so much of an opportunity for leaks and or problems. Now, I gave a suggestion to the Winnebago Thrive manager a second ago, and he basically said, yeah, we're probably going to do that. I looked at this floor plan and I saw the power outlet under that overhead cabinet. But if you look at this refrigerator, it is forward mounted in a deep slide, which means back where that little utensil holder is, behind the fridge is hollow space. I said, take that power outlet and put it down there at the countertop level. And he looked at it and goes, yeah, that's a no-brainer. We should definitely be doing that. So there's a very good chance at some point that'll change. But barring that, the little things they're doing with storage in these Thrive models, I think work very well in this floor plan. For instance, this is something they did just as a placeholder, and then I was talking to him. I'm like, you don't realize how smart this is. First of all, they made this top drawer a little bit taller with this little utensil slider, but the thing is, it's totally removable. So if you want to take that over to your dining table, if you want to take it outside to the picnic table, or if you just want to flat remove it, you can do all of that here. I think that's such a inexpensive and smart feature. And I'm always harping about waste baskets and RVs. They nailed that. They didn't waste any sort of storage space down here under the oven and stove. It's a smaller oven, but it is at least an oven. And for some folks, they absolutely need it. And for folks who don't care about ovens, they didn't go too big on it. And you can always use it like a bread box. Rotating left 90 degrees to catch the rest of the kitchen space. It looks like a wasted pocket in the bottom right corner, but I think your water heater or something is back in that corner. When we go outside, I'll walk around the camper and you'll be able to kind of double check that. But they put big drawers over here. They probably didn't have to go quite this large, but they went big. They went as big as they could. Now, there's not a good space in this section of the kitchen to put a power outlet in a more easily reached location. So all of that stuff is just under the overhead cabinet. But notice how they basically put a light strip behind a lip under the overhead cabinet. So it lights up the kitchen and the sink area, but it's borderline invisible, you know? Now, they gave me some advisory. They said they're going to tweak this a little bit just to kind of clean up some execution. I don't know what else they need to change. They weren't specific. I think it looks fine. You have a true pocket door in here. And something I was very pleasantly surprised by is sometimes when builders make a floor plan like this, there's just not good space around the toilet. And I'm not going to say that this was the biggest bathroom I've ever been in, because it's definitely not. But man, it wasn't bad. And again, all of your countertops where there's like a, in the kitchen or the bathroom, whatever, they're all going to be those same seamless molded things. Now, because it's fiberglass, my guess is you probably shouldn't like throw something really hot directly in contact with it. That's just smart advice. Now, there's no way for me to not put my big bald nugget directly in front of this mirror right here. But they gave us a big double linen cabinet. And what I thought about is if you roll towels up burrito style, I think you could actually use part of this as a linen cabinet and then the rest of it as a medicine cabinet. That might work, Now, because they did go with a little bit taller ceiling with my shoes on, I'm probably representing about 6'2" on camera. I was just able to stand in that shower without my head hitting stuff. I think my scalp skimmed the skylight, but that was just about it. Overall, I'm very happy with this. Like, if somebody asked me, like, hey, would you consider purchasing? Would you consider camping in one of these? Personally, yes, I would. Something I'm curious about. I think with the extra deep slide, the road mode's going to get tight, but I think we're going to make it. Yeah, that just about sums it up. Wow. They weren't kidding when they said they brought this slide as far forward as they possibly could. It literally just kisses that curtain track up there. And I mean, like, just touches it. Wow. Right here, because you do have a deeper slide, this slide's like 1 foot deeper than most builders of this layout, which is one of the reasons this RV feels bigger when you get there. It definitely gets tighter in here, but as long as you're willing to do a little turn on the catwalk, hey, you can get yourself back here. You can get to the stove, you can get to the sink, you can get to the bathroom. It may depend a little bit on your personal stature. If you are a person of larger stature, that might be a little more of a challenge for you. I always want to be realistic about this stuff. And if the road mode footage is useful for you, if you're new, hit that subscribe button and understand this is something we try to do for you every single time we can to give you the most information possible on this camper. Now, as I mentioned when the video began, I will qualify this as generally half-ton towable. There's always going to be some caveats. It depends on the specific capacities of your vehicle. It depends on where you're going with it. But 26'11" tip to tail, 6,000 pounds dry weight, I think around 7,500 GVW, something like that. I don't remember the sticker offhand because the caffeine is not kicking in quite yet. But half-tons will probably mostly find this within their acceptable sphere of things. Now, up front here, you've got that big old chunk of glass, and it really is one of the things that really helps open up this window or the living space, just because the extra views and visibility that it gives you, this sense of negative space when you're inside the RV. There is actually a magnetic window cover. It's not included with it, but it is something that you can get. They actually build magnets essentially right into the corners of that windshield right there. Now, your underbelly is enclosed. It is also forced air heated. So that's what I'm going to call kind of extended season camping. I don't like that 4 seasons phrase, but for shoulder season, early spring, late fall, you should be fine here as long as you're rocking the furnace. This is also riding on a Norco huck bolted chassis versus your traditional Lippert I-beam frame. Winnebago they just try to be a little different in that way wherever they can. Another thing they do that I kind of like is their power corner stabilizers, which are standard, by the way. They have their own individual button. They're not on like a sort of like rocker pivot system. And it just, I don't know. I just like the idea of it. I don't know that it actually works any better. I just like the idea of it. Really, really good pass-through capacity in here. But notice the vent. They actually have a heated pass-through cavity. So once again, when you are camping in shoulder season, spring and fall, the area directly under your head and shoulders is climate controlled. It's just little things like that I look for. I like the slam latches. I like the holdbacks. I like where they put the outside speakers. If you're going to do outside speakers as a manufacturer, I like them down low like this. It's actually in the skirt metal. So it's not a giant, it's not like a 5-inch hole drilled through your wall asking to potentially leak at some point. They've just eliminated that here. Now, real quick, I'm not going to conveniently fail to mention this. They do have import tires. It is a conventional leaf spring suspension. The smaller Winnebagos, the micro minis, those actually do run on a torsion system, just to give you an idea. The different size Winnebagos have a little bit different size equipment. 200-watt solar package acting as a glorified battery tender, basically. I love that they actually give us a ladder to get up to the roof. You are going to enjoy Asdel in your wall construction here with that aluminum framework. The roof is, of course, walkable, snow load. We've got a 300-pound, I believe 300-pound, 250 or 300-pound, I can't recall which, and I don't see a sticker from here, accessory hitch on the back. So if Aunt Edna croaks on the family vacation, you can just put her on the receiver hitch and should be good to go. I guess that technically depends on the size of Aunt Edna now, doesn't it? And again, one of the things they did differently here is going with the rack and pinion slide. Now, usually a slide this size, your rack and pinion, your driving bar will just kind of be right in the middle of it. But what they actually had to do here, because of the location of your tires, is put one on the left and one on the right. And I don't know if this is correct or not, but that feels like something where you're going to have more structure moving that slide. It just feels to me like there's more support under that slide. I could be totally wrong. It could make absolutely no difference. Heck, just to try to be fair and flip this equation around and play devil's advocate with myself, it could be a situation where now there's twice as many parts to potentially break and fail. I don't know. I like the idea of it. I don't know the practical application of it, but I know the statistical records of rack and pinion slides versus other things, and they're my personal nerd preferred preference as a result. So again, obviously, there's a lot of builders of this floor plan, and that means you as a customer get to be really, really picky on which one you choose and why. So let me ask you, is this one that would be on your radar? Or is there another version of this floor plan from another builder you'd prefer to go with? And if so, why? Now, to help you with that, I'm going to leave you some links in the description. The first one to check for pricing and availability, because obviously this is a major factor for a lot of people, certainly. Secondly, I'm going to try to dig up some links to some other builders of this that have made this layout before, so that you can kind of cross-compare from the comfort of your couch or your, your toilet at work, you know, when you're getting paid to poop. Perfect way to end the video. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.